So I just wanted to touch on something. I want to talk about Nintendo. So, okay, to the naysayers for Nintendo, and I'm not saying Nintendo's perfect. I'm not saying they don't do things that aren't right. You're okay. And I'm just touching on a couple of quick things. Like, okay, the Wii U, 32 gigabytes. Really? At this stage in the game, in the gaming community, 32 gigs when, digital downloads, eShops, and, Sony with the PS Store and Xbox and all this, 32 gigs is a joke, okay? That's just ridiculous. The fact that the Wii U was the first console they ever had to be HDMI, which I'm glad it is, and I think the graphics on that system are beautiful, even though Nintendo treated the Wii U like a red-headed stepchild. It's beautiful, beautiful graphically speaking, but it just like HDMI with the Wii U, and should have maybe been GameCube era, but okay. And the fact that when you buy things in the eShop, Nintendo eShop, you can't, like, if something happens to your system, your Wii U, there's a fire and you lose your Wii U, it's stolen, it gets broken for some reason, stops working, you're completely fucked with everything you bought because your account is tied to your system. The stuff you buy is tied to your account, yes, but it's tied to your system. So you can't get a new Wii U, log into your previous account. You have to pretty much create a brand new account. Now with the Switch, I don't know if that's changing. I hope to God it is, but these are just little things here and there. I'm not a really big YouTuber and I don't make money on here, but a lot of people complain about that they don't allow people to they do copyright claims on their stuff. That's another big complaint. I really don't give a shit about that, but that's another thing you could throw in there. However, for years, I had a friend who every single year, well, they didn't come out with a console every single year, but Nintendo, every time they were on the cusp of coming out with a new console, dating back to the GameCube, every new console that came out, I would always be able to tell him, I told you so. Because he'd be like, oh, this is it for Nintendo. Nintendo's done. They're done. Because they're just so stupid and they're losing. Their systems are failures and all this stuff. Well, I mean, and there's tons of other side points I could say here, but here's the thing. First of all, there's a difference between when people say that a system fails, number one, that doesn't mean they didn't make any profit. What that is concerning is that they're not selling the projected numbers they thought they were going to sell, and or they sold less than Sony or Microsoft did. That doesn't mean that they're not turning a profit. And Nintendo made so much bank back in, the late 80s, early 90s that they could have a failing console, which I'm saying means that they didn't sell nearly as much as Sony and Microsoft for the next 20 years. They could have a failing console and they'd still be okay because of all the money they have in the bank. Here's another thing to keep in mind with Nintendo, and I'm not saying they don't have their problems, but at the end of the day, your Sony consoles, your Microsoft consoles, the games that exist today on multiple platforms, PC gaming, Steam, games like Skyrim and, Grand Theft Auto and just everything exists because of Nintendo, okay? The video game market in the United States was dead. It was dead, it was gone. And Nintendo came over here and revitalized it. Now, even back then, there was some shady practices going on with their, the fact that they had the contracts with developers, and they could only come out with a certain amount of games per year or whatever, and they could only publish to Nintendo and stuff like that. But point is that Nintendo single-handedly revitalized the video game market in the United States. That the fact that there is even a video game industry, or maybe there still would be an industry if it wasn't for Nintendo, but it wouldn't be. If there would be one, it wouldn't be as amazing as it is today. And hindsight's obviously 2020, but who knows? Maybe there wouldn't even be video games. I mean, people talk about like, oh, they just came out with Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, which, by the way, is an amazing, amazing game. Is far surpassing my number one favorite Zelda game, which used to be Ocarina of Time. Now it is Breath of the Wild. Amazing game. Love it. But people are saying, well, Nintendo's late in the game because you got games like Dragon Age Inquisition and Skyrim and all these different other open world games that have existed already. Nintendo invented the open world game. Okay? The original Legend of Zelda, the Adventures of Link, like, they invented the open world game. The only thing you could compare open world to prior to Legend of Zelda was like, there was like one title on the Atari, I forgot the name of it, that kind of approximated open world exploration adventure game. But the Legend of Zelda, the original Legend of Zelda, was the original flagship adventure exploring game, open world type of thing. So don't give me this shit that they're just getting into the game. All those games that came afterwards, yes, that was built upon, yes, there were more elements and things added, but the basis is the original Legend of Zelda. You can't deny these things. That's it. Clobber Dude out.